Have you ever wondered what might have been? Would things be different if you caught the train instead of missing it? How much would your life change if you were 10 minutes early? Instead of 10 minutes late?
Helen? I had just caught that train. I'd been home ages ago.
You just don't want to go wondering about things like that.
Now, Helen's life is about to go down two different tracks. Gwyneth Paltrow and Gwyneth Paltrow in the story of a woman about to choose between a life with a man she's always loved.
Jerry, I asked a simple question. There's no need to become Woody Allen.
And a life with a man she's just met.
I kissed you.
Yeah, I spotted that too.
Intermedia Films and Mirage Enterprises present a romantic comedy about one woman.
I'm over him. No, you're not. I am.
And life's infinite possibilities.
Don't think that
I didn't think that.
I'm truly sorry.
Once in my life, I won't let sorrow hurt me. Not like it's hurt me before. Once in my life.
Two lives, two chances, and a destiny that lies behind two sliding doors. A film by Peter Howitt.
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back. Good to be here. Beautiful night.
Indeed. Love this episode already. Everybody out there listening, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay.
Yay.
Pete, do you know what timeline we're recording this episode in? Are we in the A story or the B story?
I mean, I hope B, based on the final product, I guess.
Well, I did get my hair dyed and cut into Gwyneth's 98 look.
I love it.
So I guess that we're in the B story.
Sure. Works for me. Works for me. Oh, man.
We got a good one today.
Got a good one.
So we
Sliding
watched
Doors.
Sliding Doors from 1998, directed by Peter Howitt,
Yes,
produced
indeed.
by Sidney Pollack, the late Sidney Pollack,
Yes.
with our friend of the pod, Joshua Clement. Welcome back to the show.
Yay.
Hi, guys.
Welcome
Good
back.
to be back.
So we landed on Sliding Doors, and you wanted to do this movie, which is perfect because a young gay Scott loved this movie. Surprise, surprise.
You loved a Paltrow movie?
I mean, this is our first foray into Gwynny. She's very hot and cold with people, but I love me some vintage 90s Gwyneth Paltrow.
Sure.
And we were tweens during this time.
Yes.
I mean, giving away too much, but yeah, I didn't know if I needed to enter on a wind chime or not.
Ooh, man, I don't have a wind chime sound effect.
We need to get one.
Yeah, here, maybe this will kind of take the place of the wind chime sound effect. It's kind of in the same vein.
That's when we miss the tube.
Yeah, you miss the train. You get
We missed the train.
a big boing. So wow, you guys
Frickin'
were
little girl.
so you guys were tweens.
Yes.
Watching this movie and loved every minute of it.
Loved it.
Awesome.
Informative, showing me all sorts of things I didn't know before.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like this entire movie just feels like a gay choose your own adventure. We get different stories. You can either make the train, miss it.
Yeah.
You can get a makeover in one. You're stuck with your drab brown wig in the other.
Two types of wildly different, quirky men. Neither is what one would describe as a hunk.
No,
not at all.
It's very British in this sense, it's all about the humor and the quirkiness is what makes the man.
Yes, indeed. And also, I mean, Gwyneth's accent work in this movie is second to none.
She really nails certain words in this movie that you can tell, well, I'm at least going to, nail this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, had done Emma, but she's got to do a whole different type of English accent.
Yeah,
This is
for sure.
the Londoner accent.
Yeah.
And she would have made this pretty close to Shakespeare in Love. And her accent of that movie is a little more refined. You can tell that she's working with a dialect coach, a little more playing Viola de Essex than she is playing Helen.
Right.
She's gotten that time, yeah.
Yeah, and Emma as well. I feel like this one, by this time she was just like, I got this. And just winged it.
I almost feel like when I was a kid, like young, like around the time Seven and Emma came out, I almost just assumed that she was British.
Right.
It's like, and you don't know a lot about just Gwyneth Paltrow's personal life being a child, but you just assume, oh, well, maybe she's just like a new British import.
Right.
No.
Right. I hadn't made connections to her mother. I'd seen her show up in with one British line in Hook as young Wendy.
Did you know that?
There you go. She was giving us a British
Pete
accent.
And I
even
got
then.
in a huge fight over at a friend of ours' house when I claimed. Well, I didn't claim because it's true that Paltrow was in Hook, and Pete just flat out refused to believe me.
No, I think I was claiming that she was a different character. I think I was like,
no, she is young Wendy.
Yeah, and I was like, no, she's not young Wendy. She's Wendy's daughter or something.
I thought someone was going to get in a fight about Glenn Close being in it as a pirate.
As a pirate, oh yes. No, I feel
Good
like
times.
I feel like I was like adamant that she was Wendy's daughter, and you were like, no, she's Wendy, and I was like, leave this house.
Leave our friend's house. So, Pete, had you seen Sliding Doors before we started dating?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, of course. I did not see it in the theater, but I know I had seen it. And, my sister, Anglophile, some friends of mine were very into, like, British comedy and things. And wait, what year is this movie?
98.
98.
Released April of 98.
So this is pre-Mummy.
Yes.
Okay. So we still, like, I wasn't on the John Hannah train yet, but I feel like I had a distinct memory of, like, Anglophile friends being like, oh, he's, like, super dreamy and blah, blah, blah. And then seeing it and being like, yeah, I guess he's
because
fine.
he was, for the Anglophiles, he was red hot off of 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yes, indeed.
He plays the gay friend in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And he's Scottish in that, and he's Scottish in this. Well, he's actually Scottish, but I feel like in The Mummy, he was just plain old English. But we like that. We like that Scottish accent. It's giving us some variety.
Just a little backstory in the movie and just sort of the creation of it. Peter Howitt, this was definitely a labor of love for him, that he spent years doing rewrites and drafts of the script, and he got the idea after almost getting hit by a car when walking across a London street, and he says, I couldn't decide if I should have run for the train or first call my mate on a phone, Howitt said, and he kind of impulsively ran across the street and almost got hit by a car. And that's when the idea of the movie came about, of just the different directions his life would have taken if he wouldn't have ran across the street. So that's sort of the idea of the movie, which I feel like Sliding Doors now, that's almost just like a term for a situation like this, and this movie is kind of cited for that.
To blame for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it becomes so much of the zeitgeist. It's like, people start saying, I'm having my Sliding Doors moment.
Right. What I credit this movie for introducing into kind of public like zeitgeist, like you said, is just like a flower in a really short blonde updo.
Yes.
The hair is iconic in this movie.
Captivating.
The makeover, get right.
It's my favorite era of Brad Pitt's.
Brad Pitt
and his relationships.
They were kind of matching hair.
They were matching hair. He matched Gwyneth's hair because everyone knows that Brad is like a sponge that just soaks up whatever woman he is with.
And some say that's a sign you can't be with someone who has the same exact hairdo as you.
I don't like it. I don't like boyfriend twins. I don't like it. I think that it's weird. I think that it's kind of super basic. This whole boyfriend twinning thing is just, I'm not on board with it. And I guess they were kind of doing something similar. But yeah, there's those like iconic photographs of Brad and Gwyneth when he pretty much has her like, is it the B story where she gets the cute haircut? But yeah, Brad has this exact haircut, and it's iconic. We'll definitely post that on the Instagram.
No, she gets the haircut in the A story because she makes the train.
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah.
Also, going back to John Hannah is partly responsible for the film getting funding with Sidney Pollack because he was doing a meeting with Sidney Pollack, and he casually mentioned the great screenplay that he was about to make that needed funding, and Sidney Pollack thought the idea was interesting. He read the script, and that's where the funding with Paramount came through, right? Because Sidney Pollack with
I feel
Paramount.
like it's a good person to be in the room with if you need funding for a film at that time.
And this is a very Sidney Pollack type of movie because it's a very polished-looking studio movie. And I think that's just sort of Sidney Pollack's brand.
But why do I have this image in my head of Sidney Pollack being like Gwyneth's like Uncle Sid? Do you know what I mean?
She probably knew him.
I could see it.
I feel like he just comes over for dinner on Sundays, and he just like will toss her the keys to the Porsche and just be like, "Go bring me the paper, kid."
Yeah,
and then he'll have her keep the Porsche.
Now?
Yeah, exactly. What movie would you like to make tomorrow?
Well, you were telling me that this role was almost written with Minnie Driver in mind.
Apparently, it was first choice Minnie Driver. Gillian Anderson also read for it.
Ooh.
And then Jean Triplehorn, I guess, had taken a meeting for Helen. And then, later in the process, they had cast her as Lydia.
Sure.
But yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense coming off of Good Will Hunting.
Well, Good Will Hunting would have just been happening at the moment that this movie was probably getting made, so she wasn't quite the bankable star that she would become. So, yeah.
The Miramax fold.
Yeah. I like Minnie Driver. I think she would have been a swell choice for this role. I think she might have been able to bring a little bit more comedy. Not that, Gwyneth's not funny or anything, but I feel like Minnie is just a little bit... can lend herself a little bit more to that, especially like physical stuff. I think it would have been a good fit for her. Yeah. But Gwyneth was great in it, so what are you going to do?
I'd like to begin the conversation of just kind of talking about Gwyneth Paltrow. Because what I think is so fascinating about Gwyneth Paltrow, especially now, is that she's like a lightning rod for certain people. I remember I controversially posted on Facebook once, I'm kind of a fan of Gwyneth Paltrow. Like 10 minutes later, 10 deep comments of just people saying I was wrong.
Which in some ways is weird when you think of, her being a part of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And, how this wellness company on the side has had such an effect on people because, there she is, these huge, huge movies. She's still a part of them, a small part. But,
yeah.
She's still there.
Yeah. I feel like, well, on the one hand, if somebody's posting on their Instagram, like, I love so-and-so, regardless of my feelings, I don't think I'm the type of person that would go out of my way to say, oh, I hate that person. Like, who cares? That's my opinion. Shut up.
Don't rain on my parade.
Yeah. But suffice it to say,
Gwyneth is a
Paltrow,
very controversial celebrity.
She is just kind of like the dictionary definition of that's some white people shit.
But that's kind of why I like Gwyneth Paltrow, is that I kind of appreciate all of that movie star bullshit. Like, I think it's kind of funny, and I do think that she's somewhat in on the joke. Like, I don't really think that she treats herself that seriously, and she does sometimes poke fun at her image, so I think that she's at least a little in on it.
I think so, and clearly has the support of her peers. A lot of, her celebrity friends are commenting on that stuff and, posting.
Yeah. And what I have to say about Gwyneth that I do enjoy is her ability to just kind of be supernatural in, not supernatural, but very extremely natural in a role, especially in her work in the Marvel Universe, which, judging from like what I would perceive her persona to be, I would think she would just get a Marvel script thrown on her desk and be like, I don't know what this is. No, I'm not going to even look at that. But, she didn't. She said, Robert Downey Jr., I trust you. Let's do this. And she did it, and it was great. It was so good. Like, her performance, especially in the Iron Man movies, are just, they're so funny and natural and believable with him. So I think she is good at what she does. And
Yeah, and I think that the common mistake people make when talking about Gwyneth Paltrow is I think people mistake not liking them as a person or disagree with them with thinking that they're a bad actress.
Yes.
Which, when you look at Gwyneth's filmography, even though she's been in bad movies, I don't think Gwyneth has ever really given a bad performance in a movie.
Right.
Yeah, she's solid. She was go-to Gwyneth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
especially in the 90s.
Especially in this time.
And you think of this time, we were talking before how she's only 24 shooting this movie.
Crazy.
I mean, she had already worked with, David Fincher and Paul Thomas Anderson and Alfonso Cuarón. She had already done so much at such a young age.
Yeah.
Maybe at a certain point, people just say, okay, I've done so much and it's time to just kind of walk away a little bit, but still keep my foot in, a multi-billion-dollar property like Marvel.
Yeah. Well, I think that she just kind of stumbled into. She probably really did not have any idea that it would become what it did ultimately become. And yeah, I think it's just she doesn't need to make movies anymore, Goop is what it is, and she came from the status that she came from even before movies, so it's she never really had to do any of this. And I think today, if there was a 24-year-old girl who came from, the parentage that Gwyneth came from, this legacy Hollywood family, she'd get a lot more shit. From she has everything handed to her, she's got all these connections, blah, blah, blah. It's I don't know, where do you draw the line between, holding something against somebody when the work just kind of speaks for itself?
Oh, definitely.
So,
and this movie falls in the year 1998, which Gwyneth's career in 1998 was a crazy roller coaster. I mean, she made, 5 movies?
5.
So there was Great Expectations, Sliding Doors, Hush, Shakespeare in Love. There's one more. What am I missing?
And A Perfect Murder with Michael Douglas.
And A Perfect Murder. Yes. So most pretty big studio movies, and then she ends up winning the Academy Award early 99 for Shakespeare in Love.
That's insane.
I mean, bam.
So not knowing her age when we rewatched this yesterday or the day before yesterday, there were some comments I had, questions about the character and her arc and all of that. But the fact that, I don't know, maybe she was playing older, but if she was actually playing 24, it makes a little bit more sense. And we'll get into that later on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, on the one hand, she's way super successful, being I'm, this PR maven and I'm going to start my own business. And then on the other hand, it's well, I'm a lowly, food delivery person. And it's okay, well, one makes sense, but now the other makes sense. So yeah, 24 kind of puts it into a little bit better perspective, but that's crazy. I can't
and still making some 24-year-old mistakes like stealing vodka from the company to start the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that many a 20-year-old has probably gotten fired for very similar reasons.
Yes.
Well, I have to say, in her character's defense,
she did bring it back.
Well, not only did she bring it back, but it was a public relations firm. It's they've got booze. It's there for a purpose, and what I don't think what she was doing at the beginning was stealing. I think it was just hey.
That's true. That's true. Those men just had it out for her. She was the only woman.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but
I love that line, lesbian.
That was kind of funny.
Trying to be so 90s.
Yes. So yeah, this character in this movie does have a female movie career, which is she's in public relations.
Because pretty much you're either in public relations, you work for a magazine,
publishing. Yeah, you're either in PR, publishing, fashion, or you bake.
I would say architecture, but that's a male career, though.
Yeah, architecture is for boys, clearly.
Or you own a bookstore.
Yeah. Yeah, or you own a bakery.
And I love how in these movies the meeting always, it's top of the day, full staff meeting, you're always late.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I totally forgot the whole idea of, getting fired at the beginning of the day, which I don't know. I think that's kind of bullshit because usually they have you work a full day before they give you the axe.
Come on. They make her turn around and leave right there.
Yeah.
She spilled her tea. She got fired. And now she's going to go get her purse snatched.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, in one timeline, at least.
Yes.
I mean, the girl can't win.
No, I mean...
So to set up the sliding doors, she is running the catch... the tube Do they call it the Tube in London?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's
the underground or the
going to get the
Tube.
Tube, and in one she makes it, and the other one she misses it.
Because of that damn little girl.
That damn little girl playing with that Barbie.
I mean, just solely based off a parenting choice.
Yeah.
letting your child.
We just rewatched the Broad City Sliding Doors episode, and I love that the girl with the Barbie is a homeless. Is like a guy. He's not even a homeless guy. He's like a Wall Street guy.
He's like a business guy.
He's like a business guy, and he barfs right in front of her, so she has to walk around him. And then the other one, he barfs over the stairs.
Yeah. So I guess this idea of the alternate timelines, had it really been explored in a movie before? I mean, this is very like I would see this in like a Star Trek episode or something, but it was very novel for the time.
Yes,
you know, when we watch a lot of interviews from the period, people are just like, talk about this crazy, wild concept, and it's like when we think about it, it's just like, well, let's just explore the two, alternate realities of one mistake.
And it's interesting because the 90s in film, primarily independent film, started playing with stuff like structure more.
Yeah.
Now, you don't need to make a traditional movie that goes from point A to point B to point C. You can have fun with a timeline.
It makes you think of, Run Lola Run was a few months after this. Even as we head into The Matrix and stuff like that the next year, it's... We start getting funky with, timelines and dimensions.
And then Christopher Nolan came around and just blew everyone's mind by telling a story backwards.
Well, I think we have one Mr. Tarantino to thank for all of this nonsense.
True. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like even at the time, people were just like, you have to reference Pulp Fiction if you're going to talk about like non-linear storytelling in a movie. But I mean, like it's a fresh take on nonlinear storytelling and all that. But the alternate timeline stuff is cool, and the way that they would have it play out almost in the same scene in certain spots where I love that. Yeah, where she would be in the same location as things were happening.
There's great editing in this movie.
Yeah, there's really fun
and that's the thing is that when you're following two characters, this movie never gets confusing. I don't think that when you revisit it, I think it's very clear who you're following.
Yeah.
And they have fun with the cuts of the movie, of when they would transition to both Helens.
I was going to say, it's never confusing. I mean, the injury at the beginning helps, but she doesn't even get her hair done until, a half hour into the movie. So,
that's true.
It's never hard.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was like, okay, well, she's going to get her hair cut really quickly because that's how we can tell them apart. But yeah, you're right. It takes kind of a minute. I want to talk about the friend that she goes to stay with. Well, I guess, should we set up a little bit more of what's going on with the story? Because the friend is crazy. What's the friend's name?
The female friend?
Yeah, Anna. So in one timeline, she catches the train. She meets John Hannah, who she had kind of seen in the elevator before. They have a little
he picks up her earring, and you were very kind of in this COVID time that she puts the earring back on.
Well, I didn't comment on that until the very last scene in the movie, but he hands her the earring. I mean, COVID, whatever. He hands her an earring that she picked up off the ground, and she shoves it back in her ear hole. Gross. That's an infection.
I just don't know why she's always waiting to go into the elevator to just fuss with her ear.
Yeah.
Just take a second.
Yeah. But, in the timeline where she makes it onto the train, she just got fired, so she goes home, and her live-in boyfriend, who was expecting her to be at work, is busy, with one Miss Jean Triplehorn, the handsome Jean Triplehorn.
The classic second leading lady of a movie. She can never be the leading lady. She's always the second lead.
She is a saucy minx.
Yes, indeed. Her character in this movie makes you want to grab her and shake her. She's just so captivating because she has this face. She's like this dark lady, and I always think of her in Grey Gardens, the HBO Grey Gardens, where she plays Jackie O, and she has scarves wrapped around her head and big Jackie O glasses, and I'm just like, she's so beautiful, but she's so awful in this movie. So
her name is Lydia.
So Helen catches them in the act, and she leaves and she goes to her friend's house. Well, on the other timeline, Helen gets mugged. She gets like thrown into a tree, cracks her head open. He doesn't take her purse, right? That's because the cop says that it was an attempted robbery.
She put up a pretty good fight for that purse.
Well, yeah, she ended up face first into
the purse, and Lydia leaves just in time.
Yes, and they cross paths, so she doesn't find out that the boyfriend's cheating on her, so she stays with him. And then that's where everything changes. So in our A story where Helen catches them, she's just like, you're cheating on me, fuck off. And she leaves and she goes to stay with her friend. What did we decide her name was?
Who has a nice place, Anna, yeah.
Well, this is where I'm going with this. Anna, thank God Anna is just like 8th in line for the crown or something, because she lives in this fabulous flat, has no job, just paints to her heart's content, and is just like, sure, go and get yourself a $90 haircut while you are not contributing to this house at all. Anna is best friend material, I have to say.
She sounds Irish, right?
Yeah, she does. She sounds Irish.
Yeah.
I'm assuming she's a painter and makes money off of this.
Why aren't we living here?
I don't think there was any type of career for Anna.
She had to do something.
They went in the movie.
Well, she is painting something at one point.
Sure.
And it's like a huge painting on a canvas. It's not just like, I'm just like finger painting for the day. Like, she's painting on this gigantic canvas. So I'm assuming she's an artist and is just independently wealthy.
Sure. I mean, why not?
Yeah, she's doing really well.
Yeah.
As, Helen that catches her boyfriend cheating has to go look for, sandwich delivery job in the paper.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because her, the house is beautiful, or flat, or whatever you want to call it, is like lovely. Helen's not contributing at all. They fully make a point of saying it's been like 10 days. It's like, all right, get a job. But yeah, and meanwhile, poor Helen, mousy brown hair Helen, who stayed with the cheating boyfriend, he's a novelist, or he's trying to be a novelist, so he's not contributing.
And Helen's supporting him too.
Yeah, she was supporting him doing PR, which she made a pretty penny at. But I mean, yeah, you got fired from one job. Look for another job in PR. Where are you going to go back to food service?
But you said that there was no jobs in PR.
True.
None in the whole city.
With the big red Sharpie.
Yep.
Yes, I always love that. Like in Mrs. Doubtfire and stuff, they're always going through the paper with the big Xing out the jobs. I miss that those days. No internet. Well, internet, but couldn't do that.
Yeah. So she takes a job in food service, which the horror.
She has 2 jobs in food service too. She has her daytime and nighttime jobs.
They just show her busting her ass waiting these tables, and I don't know. It's like, on the one hand, I mean, it's totally hard work, and that the idea is to show how hard she's working to support herself and this deadbeat who's actively cheating on her. But on the other hand, you're just supposed to be like, wow, what a garbage person. She's waiting tables. She's delivering food. Why doesn't she just throw herself off that bridge?
The pre-Postmates life where you got a big old basket of sandwiches. You got to go to 50 million offices.
That lovely Martha Stewart, like Little Red Riding Hood basket that she has, that she's filling with like loose apples. Loose apples and saran wrap sandwiches. I love it.
I do have a problem with this bar, though.
Sure.
I've been to London a couple times, and the one thing I noticed was quite different than America is that after work, everybody pours into the bar.
Right.
And they go right from work, and they're standing outside, and this bar with live musicians playing all types of music, by the way.
Yeah.
is empty.
Pretty empty.
And if it was raining outside, this place should be packed. I mean, what's going on with this bar?
Maybe they just live in a really quiet town. A lot of old people. I don't know.
I love that song. I love that Amy Mann song that's playing when she's Gwyneth is sitting at the bar having a drink with that big beer. There's a great Amy Mann song playing. It's called Amateur. And I think that was probably one of the first times I ever heard that song was this movie.
Yeah, the soundtrack. I just all the way through iconic. I mean, I was already I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, but living for Jamiroquai at this point.
Aqua.
And everything.
I think that this single was on the Barbie Girl album. Turn Back Time.
That would make sense.
I know a lot about Aqua.
Yeah, clearly. We have a couple of clips of Helen and James. Shall we play their introduction?
They have their little meet cute.
Yeah.
You've got a terrible tea stain in your book.
Look, I don't think you're a psychopath. I just want to read my book.
No, I understand. I apologise. I'm in a little bit of a good mood today, as a matter of fact, so I've just... Sorry. Have we met before? No, honestly, you seem familiar.
I don't think so.
Yes, you were in the lift just now. You dropped your earring, I picked it up.
Oh, yes, you did. Thank you.
Pleasure. Do you work there?
I did do, but I've just been fired, okay?
Oh, that's horrible. I'm sorry.
It's okay, you didn't do it. I thank you for your concern and glad you're in a good mood, etc. Thank you for picking up my earring, but I just want to read my book.
In her defense, if I'm ever on the LA subway or Gold Line, I hate when people talk to me. I just want to be like, do not talk to me. I'm listening to music. I do not want to speak with you.
We entered the headphone culture. Put your headphones in. Don't talk.
But you never get anybody as charming as John Hannah.
This is very true.
Come on.
I would talk to John Hannah.
Coming at you with random Monty Python's Flying Circus reference.
Yeah. Although on the Monty Python tip, it's cute. It's like, okay,
yes.
He's, you expect one thing and he says something non sequitur and I love it. But then there's a scene where they're like in a pub or whatever and he's just delivering a full scene and doing voices.
Like
and at that point, I feel like for like British people, it's kind of like there's a certain type of guy who will just, even for American people, there's a certain type of guy who will just quote Monty Python scenes and it's like, all right, take it down a notch. Do you know what I mean?
This was his go-to.
Yeah, I know. But it's like, is that like somebody here like just quoting like Caddyshack and just doing full scenes from like
Austin Powers?
Yeah.
It might be. It really might be.
Yeah. But that Scottish accent, that brogue, just so charming.
I kind of like that this movie just, what it really boils down to is the brandy glasses.
Yes.
Yes. These are the main, like, MacGuffin of the movie.
That's how wives catch their husbands cheating, is noticing a brandy glass that is not brought out it's a very special occasion to take out the brandy glasses.
Yeah. And you bumped your head. Oh, I bumped my head, bitch, but I did see too.
Well, also, she walks in at, just after crossing paths with Gene Triplehorn. He's in the shower, so he didn't have time to clean up after himself. And now she's in the bedroom. She's in hysterics. Well, she's not in hysterics, but she is, she's troubled. She had a crazy morning. And what does he do but just act all weird? He like throws himself on the bed to like hide, the earring. And he like knocks one of the brandy glasses into the laundry so he can forget about it later on. He does not have experience in cheating. Well, maybe that's good for the character. He's not a cheater. But he was. And
so does he only listen to Elton John with Lydia then?
Yeah, that's not clear. Maybe we're to understand that Lydia loves Elton John and he just listens to it to like because he's getting some.
Because he had always told Helen he didn't like Elton John.
Yeah, and he's like, I hate Elton John. Yeah.
Oh, could never love a Baywatch fan.
So, when she's with John Hannah, James, they're getting on very well. But I feel like it's kind of non-committal, like really until they spend the night with each other. Like what's going on between the two. It's not like because she's just coming out of this relationship where she was scorned. So maybe she's being guarded. But I feel like it's not like, oh, well, they're fully in a relationship mode and then all of a sudden something happens. I feel like that she's kind of keeping a bit of distance with him right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's like, this would be a perfect kissing moment, but it's not. But then she goes for it anyway. So she's a little torn.
Yeah.
She's not fully kind of down for it until they're writhing in bed 90s style.
Yeah, I was shocked that there's like a full-on love scene in this movie. I was like, love scene?
You
what?
never see shit like that now.
Yeah. We never
just
see
like
love
curtains
scenes.
blowing and just writhing around. It's just we don't do that.
Yeah. So we've touched on it briefly, but we have to fully address the makeover in this movie.
Yes.
And the elephant in the room, the big question mark, do we consider this a Karen haircut?
I mean, this is like the video game boss of a Karen haircut.
Like she really wants to speak to the manager.
I mean, the Kate Gosselin was a little more severe. It was like the severe version of this.
Yes.
I don't think the bump goes up as much as a traditional haircut.
In some scenes,
like a Karen haircut.
In some scenes, her bouffant in the back is a little high, but I think what's saving it from the Karen or from the Kate Gosselin is the bangs. They're not long enough. Yeah. They're long and they're wispy, and she's able to just like coquettishly like tuck it behind her ear every now and then. But it's not the full chunk bang that goes down to her chin. That's in the iconic Kate Gosselin photograph.
We did watch an interview that Gwyneth was doing for Great Expectations, and the cut was growing out. So it was getting to be like
it was more like a bob with bangs.
Like a bob length. So she was growing it out.
Okay. And yes, and the brown hair is wig.
Oh, wig. But what I do remember, or what I thought I remembered when I watched it again yesterday, I hadn't seen this movie in a while. I feel like I remembered it being more platinum. And I think it's just because I remember seeing the press photos of her and Brad.
Yeah.
And in those pictures, they were probably right after she finished making this. So she was just like, bleach it out. Because it's a little bit more PC, brown low lights in this movie. Whereas
she
I think
could bump it up for PR,
Yeah, right afterwards for the rounds, she was like, platinum, white. I want to, what's the color combination that Willem and James Mansfield always. So I remember it being lighter, but that's just like false memories. I think this haircut and just like seeing her just being like an independent woman, just like turning around in the chair.
Yeah.
That was just kind of the moment when you were just like, this is the woman that I want to grow up to be.
Of course. Loved it.
Montages with music. I mean, between that and the painting and, baggy pants.
Oh my goodness.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah. Gwyneth has the right body type that she can wear like a baggy cargo pant and like a form-fitting top and just look like super chic.
Yeah. I mean, you just really side with her. I know we didn't talk too much about John Lynch, who plays Jerry, the one cheating on her. But I know, Scott, we've talked about how we knew him from The Secret Garden.
He's Annie Lennox's uncle.
Annie Lennox is in The Secret Garden?
Annie Lennox,
yes, Lord Craven.
From the Eurythmics?
From the Eurythmics. But yeah, he's the uncle from The Secret Garden.
Oh. I feel like I've only seen The Secret Garden once.
So good.
I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it.
Holds up really well.
But to me, he was always just kind of troubled and, withering.
Sad looking.
Sad looking, Even as a tween, I was like, I don't get this guy.
Right.
I just don't get him.
You kind of think that she's a little out of his league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
The woman was dating Brad Pitt at the time. But.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like they kind of go out of their way to make you feel like he's cheating on her, but he doesn't want to cheat on her.
Because Lydia was his old girlfriend, so she went back to America.
Yeah.
And he started dating Helen and then married. Are they married?
I don't think so.
Okay, so maybe it was just an engagement ring that she put in the river.
Yeah.
And then he started dating Helen. She comes back to England and is just like, what the fuck? Like, why are you dating this woman? And she just sort of proceeds to get back in the relationship, even though, I mean, that's what's kind of interesting about the Lydia character is that does Lydia even think of this as an affair? Just because she had him first?
Right.
So she's just going back into the relationship?
I think it's implied that it's a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good question, what she thinks.
She's horrible either way.
I mean, she has a lot of issues.
She's so mean. She finds out where Helen works, calls her to deliver food to her place of work, and then makes up some fake excuse to yell at her and says that she gave a bunch of her guys food poisoning when she didn't.
Wanted to yell at her and shame her.
Yeah. For being a garbage person, food service worker.
Yes, just straight up vicious, this woman sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, the worst part is the last scene she gets in the movie. I mean, that's like so awful. That's irredeemable. You kind of want her to fall down the stairs and lose her baby. Jeez. Well, that's another thing. I guess we'll get there when we get there, but it's like that storyline is the real storyline.
Right. We go from rom to melodrama.
Yeah, real quick. And
takes
then
a real sharp turn.
And they don't wrap it up. But I guess if Helen is leaving him, then who cares, right? It's not Lydia's story, so who gives a shit what happens to her and her baby with the philanderer.
So there's a moment where there's a shot of Anna. Is that the friend's name?
Yes.
Yeah. Anna is reading a newspaper, and the newspaper headline is just Harvey Weinstein just jerking himself off. Did you notice it in last night's viewing?
Yes.
Do you remember what the headline said? Well, anyways, it's about the English Patient winning Best Picture. It's like a royal affair or something.
Wow.
And it's there's like Juliette Binoche on the cover of the paper. But definitely like old Miramax just like giving themselves a reach around for
and I
the
didn't
English
notice it
Patient.
till this time. I didn't notice it till this time, and I don't know if I was just more like really tuned in to any sort of Harvey creeping in there, but I finally saw it.
It's these big TVs.
Yeah, it must be. What is he doing? Sticking that in his own movie.
I mean, I guess it's funny, but like given the circumstances, it's kind of an asshole move.
Mm-hmm. Man, we've definitely been on a Miramax and Harvey kick, and that was not intentional. 54, Scream, and now this. And this movie, I don't think has a lot of Harvey Weinstein fingerprints on it. Like this movie speaks more to just how polished Sidney Pollack movies are.
Right. I mean, you were talking about it earlier, but I had read that he was heavily involved in the editing process to make sure that it was streamlined and it wasn't confusing the two timelines. That Sidney was right there, not directing it, but guiding it.
Well, I think what helped was the old book on tape, wind chime sound effect. That really helps you. Like, oh, okay, here we are. Do you remember that, having like books on tape when you were a kid, like little golden books, and they're like at the tone,
yes.
And it would be like a very like pixie dust kind of noise.
Yes, I mean the synthesizer notes with the wind chime. The tension is building, people.
Yes, indeed.
I want somebody to mock up a choose your own adventure type of cover with Gwyneth in this movie,
like an illustration. Yeah,
like an illustration of a scholastic choose your own adventure.
Yeah. So we've talked, I guess, extensively now about her hair, but I just want to add one more thing. The whole time I'm watching this movie last night, I'm just thinking to myself, weren't there like flowers? I feel like there were flowers. Weren't there flowers? And I'm just like telling in my head, and I'm not vocalizing. I'm not asking Scott, like, what about the flower? And I'm just thinking, I'll be damned if there weren't flowers in her hair somewhere. I'm like looking at the poster, like looking all over the place for the damn flowers in her hair that I specifically remembered. And I was like, maybe...
Are you mistaking it for like
maybe it was a premiere?
A public appearance by Gwyneth at the
Yeah,
time?
maybe she went on Letterman and had these flowers in her hair. And then lo and behold, here's her like big PR launch. She's back, ladies and gentlemen, and here she comes with this fabulous
with those fucking flowers,
with the goddamn flowers in her hair, and I was like, there they are.
We get the party scene, and the song is "Use the Force." Use the force of those flowers, girl.
Who performs "Use the Force"? What is this song?
It's Jamiroquai.
That's the Jamiroquai song. I love it.
Yeah.
He was so cute.
And
this is the scene where kind of like it's their little Back to the Future moment where like the two Helens are kind of like intersecting.
Yes,
So
we get a little, not a wind chime, but what is that? It's
like a gong.
Little faint.
Yeah. Should have been a gong. Yeah, she's having a weird like Marty McFly at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
And it's because she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Is that why?
I think so.
Yeah. Not the morning sick. It's like the morning sickness alternative. We have this weird little feint in both timelines.
Well, I thought it was because they were like intersecting a little too much. But that's just my that's my like sci-fi brain thinking about it, like overthinking it.
Little dimensional.
Yeah. They can't exist in the same like space for too long, or else they'll start to like.
I like that.
Eat each other.
Do you think that blonde Helen exists in the Berenstein Bears timeline?
In blonde Helen, it's Berenstein with an EI, and brown-haired Helen, it's the correct way.
I'm sure that there'll be like a future President Bernie Sanders in it too.
Our current President Bernie Sanders.
But yeah, the party is the pinnacle of everything.
Yeah, it all changes.
The men have to intersect, and well, at least in that timeline.
Yeah.
We've also talked on this show, like on the baby boom episode, of just when I was young, always just being very satisfied with seeing a career woman succeed in a movie.
Yes.
And that's what I really like about that Helen portion.
Yeah.
Is like, I have this startup idea and I'm going to make it happen. And she makes it happen. I love that.
Yeah. There's something fun about seeing, your person achieve their dream and swirl around a room while the music plays.
Yeah.
Wearing like a shawl. They're always wearing like shawls or like
some kind of a wrap
or some kind of a wrap.
Yeah. And also the idea is that the philandering boyfriend isn't like pursue your dreams. He's just like pay the rent. And John Hannah's just like you do PR, like be a publicist. And you open your own business. Don't work for anybody else. And so he encourages her to like achieve her potential, whereas the other one is just like stifling her potential. Right.
Yeah.
Wear the shawl. Mm-hmm. Wear the wrap. Be the boss.
Put those flowers in your hair, girl.
He also has contacts too, because he got, whatever that guy does, he's an artist as well or something.
Right. And now is this party isn't taking place in London, right? It's taking place where Jerry has vacationed with Lydia. Is that right? Somewhere near there?
No, I don't think so. I think we're still in London. And it's a launch of a restaurant, right? That she's helping to do.
Yes, it is a restaurant because there's the whole conversation about they don't advertise for the new restaurant.
Because the Baywatch lover wants he's starting up this bar or this restaurant.
Right.
That's right.
Bar restaurant.
Bar and grill.
Bar and grill, yeah.
Okay. Oh,
that's right. Yeah.
I forgot about Lydia and what's his name going out of town. Too much.
She's got to have her big old monologue.
Oh my goodness. Which we also have bits of the monologue. Well, we have the entire monologue, but we skipped over a little bit as far as clips are concerned of, James and I don't know. Did it really endear him to Helen, the whole like Spanish Inquisition? But it's just so much part of his like
his little character,
quirky character, right? So, do you want to hear that before we get into Helen, just so we get a little bit more backstory on James? It's a quick one. Okay.
Hey, remember what the Monty Python boys say?
What? Always look on the bright side of life?
No. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
There it was.
There was.
There it was.
Do.
Yeah. So, I also do love that little like piano key moment too. It's very like bewitched. But yeah, he's just a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more like fun-loving. What does he do? His character. Is it ever even?
I don't know, but their life seems to revolve around boating,
rowing.
Or his life revolves around rowing.
I don't know.
Is he a professional coxswain?
I don't know what he was doing in the PR, but I mean, that's probably like a Condé Nast type of building.
That's right.
Sure.
He
There's
works in that
probably
building,
a lot of different things in that building.
Sure,
but I
sure,
don't know.
sure. Interesting. So like we were saying, he's got a little bit more like whimsy, to his personality. So he really encourages, Helen to be more of an independent person and start up her own business, whereas Jerry is the opposite of that. And Jerry and Lydia go off on this vacation. I had a little bit of a problem with Jerry's friend kind of like narrating.
Right.
He's like, and you're doing this, and then you want this to happen. And I'm like, all right, guy, we got it. Like, it was a little bit of like expository. And I know that's hard. I know exposition is hard in a script, right?
And they wanted to give the Jerry character kind of more of a character beat or an arc that he does feel bad about all of this. So I guess that you have to have your best friend that you can find too at the pub.
Yeah.
That hanging out in the pub humanity,
Yeah, I liked the idea of that he's just, it's not sitting well with him, but the whole, best friend, like, let me get this straight, and then explaining it all to us. I was like, all right, there's got to be a better way of getting this exposition out.
And he's also kind of getting some joy out of, Jerry's, circumstances. Like, and basically like he knew he'd messed this up, or, the balancing of the two women, he knows about the affair, but yeah. He's definitely a little narrator there in the pub and then joking about it.
Yeah. But I guess you need to like round out Jerry's like character arc or whatever. But,
he can't be all bad, like you said.
And, brown-haired Helen is slowly catching on of this affair, too. And he knows that she's catching on. Because she trails him, going to the library. And Jerry thinks that he's going to lead her off the affair by inviting her on this trip, because he knows that she can't make it. And then he'll just end up meeting up with Jean Triplehorn, too.
I mean, way to be sneaky and kind of obvious, but...
I mean, I guess it makes sense.
I always wanted to trail somebody like that. I always wanted to trail somebody like that.
Preferably in a trench coat and big glasses.
Yeah.
Get in the back of a cab and just say, follow that car.
I mean,
there's a lot of big black coats happening in this movie.
I mean, I've got a newspaper with some eye holes cut out in it, just for that very. You always need that at a moment's notice. What was I going to say about Jerry? Oh, yes, the brandy glasses, which we've talked about earlier. Like you were saying, she's catching on a bit, so she will like question something, and every time she questions something, he like throws it back at her, like, oh, but I did it because of this, and why are you always questioning me, and all of that.
Definite straight guy behavior. From what I've observed.
Much?
Yeah, he definitely throws everything back at her and kind of makes her question, herself, I guess. But
yeah, I feel like I would kind of be done with him. What does he say? Like, all women are that way. Like, what's wrong with you?
There's no need to turn Woody Allen. I feel like this movie was one of the first contexts I had when I was young into Woody Allen's personality, was that scene where she says there's no need to turn into Woody Allen when he's just ranting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I did think that was interesting. Mm-hmm. No need to turn into Woody Allen. Her Queen's English. So what?
Yeah, I don't think I had gone down the Annie Hall, hole yet at that point. I might have, though.
So, again, not having seen this movie in quite a few years, revisiting it last night, Helen, I think brown-haired Helen finds out that she's pregnant first.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and is going to tell him on the phone.
And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. I thought that was a little heavy. I was the whole time I'm thinking, okay, it
was when she fainted.
Split lives,
when she fainted at work,
right?
And she's giving him a call.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she finds out that she's pregnant. Then, blonde Helen and James had this James, right? Had this crazy, sex scene that was kind of out of nowhere for me, at least. And then she finds out that she's pregnant. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, I'd forgotten all about that, like where the stakes go in this movie, and the stakes get pretty high eventually.
Yeah.
And I feel like for this type of screenplay, you kind of need to have the stakes get pretty high, or else you're just, it just turns into a series of montages that
Sure.
you need to sort of up the ante a little bit with its characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the decision, how do we build to our climax? Well, there's going to be two Helens, and they're both going to have a baby with a different one of the guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that at that point I was like, okay, now we're kind of steering into a different direction for this. And all the while, I was still had forgotten about the major, like, gaggerini at the end of this movie. Like, we're just like watching La 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 and like, wow, she got knocked up by both of them. Oh man!
But before you get into that,
no, I know
we do have to talk about Jean Triplehorn's amazing monologue.
Jeez,
when they're at the bed and breakfast and she stubs her toe, and he's talking to brown-haired Helen on the phone, and he like hushes her up, and he passes off her screams as people making love in the next.
Right.
Like room over. And Jean Triplehorn delivers this monologue, and she completely knocks it out of the park. I think she's so good in this scene.
Yeah.
That you kind of feel bad for her. Like, oh man, this does kind of sound kind of shitty for you. I know that you're kind of a terrible person and you don't seem very nice, but you kind of get an understanding in her situation. You feel kind of bad for her.
I am trying to be your girlfriend, Jerry. I am trying to win you back. It's fairly simple. I am standing on the platform at Limbo Central with my heart and soul packed in my suitcase, waiting for the Jerry frickin' Express to roll in and tell me that my ticket is still valid, that I may reboard the train. Only the station announcer keeps coming on and telling me that my train has been delayed as the driver has suffered a major panic attack in Indecision City. We suggest you take the bus. That's what I am trying to do, you cripple. Except it's quite clear that that is never going to happen. Is it? No reply. Perfect. So I'm not waiting anymore, Jerry. I am cashing my ticket in. I am taking that bus. Tell all my friends, never go back. Look at me, I must be crazy. Don't phone me for a while. Ow. Oh. No, don't phone me at all. Ever. It's over. Again.
I'm trying to think of
is it over?
The circumstances of a Jean Triplehorn drag queen lip-syncing this at a show.
I mean, how far can you take that train metaphor?
Oh, man. Yeah, really. That was...
I love when she's putting on her shoe and she's just like, ow.
Yeah, she just stubbed her toe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's in character.
Do you think that they read Jean Triplehorn with this scene? It's like, here's this monologue.
That's a hard one to go.
There you go. Here's the role of Lydia that you're reading for. I know that you came in for Helen, but we're gonna leave you. We're gonna read you for Lydia.
Or it's like the thing they gave her, to make the role a little more substantial.
Sure.
Yeah. There you go. They're like, we got Jean Triplehorn. Maybe we should flesh this out a bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
She's just like, this character is too much of a witch. You need to like.
you got to give me
something. Oh man.
Wearing that cream blouse. Is that a turtleneck or something?
Now, is this before or after she like is fully stalking Jerry and like showing up on his window?
this is going to be before
That's
because
before
she signs
that,
out.
yeah.
She finds out that she's pregnant,
Yeah.
and she's like, "I'm
That's
late.
why she's going.
I'm never
yeah.
late."
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
very. I mean, that
Dr.
part
Evil,
does.
I'm late.
That part does turn a little Three's Company sitcom of like she puts up the blinds and she's standing right there.
Yeah. Dr. Evil, I'm late. Well,
Yes. little comedy of errors moment.
I still love looking at the poster. I loved looking at my VHS of this.
and which one did you like better?
The blonde one, obviously.
But look at the brown-haired one. It's almost like it's too sleek. It's almost a Rachel haircut.
The Rachel.
Remember the Rachel? I wish I had the Rachel. What if one split second sent your life in two completely different directions? Helen is about to find out. So we've set up that this bridge in town, holds like some kind of emotional meaning to Helen because her grandfather helped build it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost as if she were to jump off of it, she would be transported into like Kate and Leopold time.
Right. Doesn't she say like when I always go to that bridge when I'm having a moment? It's like we see her like throw the engagement ring.
Yeah.
Which is
standing
such
on
a movie thing to do. Like, I don't think I've ever done that in real life. Whenever I'm feeling down, I don't have like
A place.
a specific place that if I'm ever missing,
Yeah.
and Pete's like freaking out and is searching all of Los Angeles for me.
I knew you'd be here.
He'll just find me at like the Griffith Observatory,
She's parking.
right?
He'd probably find you crying in the videotheque. Right?
I know.
Yes.
Well, you can't have any good you can't have any good places in LA.
Just
because
find me at Michael Myers' house down the street
Yeah.
from Videotech. I'll be there.
Just crying. Yeah. So everybody and their mother is pregnant,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
and by everybody I mean two Helens.
To Helen. She's very fertile. So we know that this bridge holds this like emotional connection to her, and but what we haven't talked about is like James's crazy out of nowhere weird side wife that like
Yes, he's
Well,
taking
'cause-
care of his mother.
Because you kind of are seeing all this progress, and you're like, oh no, should I trust this guy?
Yeah.
Is he going to burn her as well?
Yeah. And then we find out we get kind of like a teaser like switcheroo scene where we see him with his mother who is elderly, and we see this woman, this mystery woman who clearly seems to be like a spouse or a girlfriend or something. And how does Helen find out? Oh, she calls him. No, she goes to his work. And the secretary's like, oh,
Yes.
he's like somewhere. Oh, he's there with his wife, and she's like, what?
What?
Yeah. Is
Let
it
me
like
stand against this wall and get emotional about it.
it's like a secretary, right? Or like a front desk woman or something, and that's how she finds out.
At his nameless job.
Yes, it doesn't matter what he does. So that's when blonde Helen kind of is like starts to like unravel. Which is conveniently timed.
So
with
it's gotta
Brown
rain.
I mean, clearly she can't have like a mental breakdown with not a cloud in the sky. We need to have torrential downpour, which we get.
I mean, I love any movie scene with two characters meeting up in the rain.
Not an umbrella in sight.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. All have major romantic climaxes in the rain.
You need a good scream in the rain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes.
And it's London. It rains a lot.
This is true. It's true. So he kind of lets her know that, yes, he is married, but he's also separated, and he's going to be divorced soon. And this whole, like, convoluted, my mother's sick, and so we're putting on this charade. So that, she doesn't get upset in her, like, waning days. It's a bit of a stretch for me, but,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it works for the script.
we got to make this really dense at the end, Pete. We just got to, pile it all in there.
Yeah, seriously. I felt like I don't know, not that it came out of nowhere, but I guess you did need you needed more conflict for blonde Helen.
Yes.
Because otherwise she was just living like this charmed life.
She just lives this perfect life that she missed the train on.
And does she tell him that... No, she doesn't tell him that she's pregnant. They just kind of
he doesn't
reconcile.
Find out from the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we actually have a little bit from the bridge, so let's take a listen to what's going on there. There's a lot of rain, so that's what all that seeming static sounds like.
I never want to see you again. I have been through enough for 1 year. I stupidly believed that he was a man who was different from men, but it is clear that I made a mistake. Now please do me a favor and go away.
I am married, Helen, but I am separated. But walk away if you want, but take this with you. The woman you saw today was the woman I married 3 years ago. We separated 6 months ago and soon will be divorced. Nothing aggressive. I didn't tell you before because I don't know why. I have wanted to tell you so many times, and now you found out another way. I wish I had told you. My mother is ill in hospital, as you know, and Claudia agreed to keep up the pretense that we were okay still for my mum. As a favour. She's a very decent woman. Do you have a mum, Helen?
Well, do you?
I mean, how could you not forgive him with that accent? So cute.
Very charming. Soon we'll be divorced. Yeah, so I mean,
so charming.
He's very charming, and ultimately, he's so charming that they reconcile right then and there on the bridge.
And then she gets hit by a car.
And then she gets hit by a damn truck.
Wah wah.
Gagarini.
Gag of the season.
Out of the street, girl.
I know. Why are you just standing there in the middle of the street in the rain?
I mean, I feel like any scene with a character standing in the middle of the street, I just get immediately anxious.
You're waiting for the bus.
It's like when I ever see characters driving cars in movies, that I just think that they're going to get in a car accident.
Yeah, if the camera is ever like looking straight at them out their window, you know that the car is going to come and T-bone them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what happens. She ends up in the hospital. Both Helens have an accident.
Yes.
The other one down the stairs.
At Lydia's apartment.
Yes.
Wow, that's some like sociopath shit. Is inviting over the guy that you're fucking's girlfriend. And you're going to drop the bomb that you're pregnant.
And under the pretense of a job interview, that is like, go throw yourself in a volcano. That is awful.
I don't know what's worse, Glenn boiling the rabbit or that.
This.
I mean, she's like, isn't she say something like, well, there you are. It's like...
Yeah, she's something about like, we're going to have to postpone the meeting. It's like awful. But, she's just like, fuck this. I've got to leave. And she tries to leave and falls down the stairs. And both Helens end up in the hospital, and both Helens had not told either of the baby daddies that
they were pregnant.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Serious internal injuries. No good.
Mega internal injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that blonde Helen, in like a giant operating theater with just James by her side, fully just kicks the bucket.
Yeah. I mean, she was hit by a car. I mean, this wasn't like the Brad Pitt getting hit by the car and Meet Joe Black, but I mean, you're hit by a car though.
This was pretty head on, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was one thing where you just like, the one with the good life dies, so now the one with the shitty life, we just gotta pick up the pieces? Terrible.
The lesson was, learn the truth, you'll die?
Yeah.
But I think the idea of that in the moment, Helen missing the train, it's just like when you think about your life and those little moments and how much easier your life would have been if you would have caught the train or missed it or kind of anything like that in life, and it turned out that the one that missed the train was the one that lived at the end. So it could all just work out in the long run.
She was able to put the pieces together slower and just, authentically.
And the last scene of the movie, she meets John Hannah in the elevator. So it was almost that they were fated to come together anyways. Some Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind shit.
Yes. The timelines matched just perfectly, that he was leaving his mother right at the same time, and she's going to drop her earring again.
Right. So maybe she can go on to have that life.
Yes.
Just after she learned what she learned from sticking with, Jerry or whatever. I don't like it.
I love it. I love this movie. We might
Stop on that freeze frame.
We might disagree on this one, but I love this movie.
No, it's good. I don't disagree. It's a good movie.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a good movie.
Have we ever had
melodrama?
Have we ever had sliding door moments in our lives that we think about of how different my life would have been if I wouldn't have done this particular thing?
I lived in New York for a few years, and I felt like it was more me just picturing myself having the moment. As I ran down the stairs. There's so many times you just barely catch the train, right? Or you just miss it. But as far as, that moment after where you're trying to think about, well, would this have affected my life on the other side? It's hard to say, because you just never know, right? You never know who you could meet on a train or bump into.
True.
I met Pete at a Christmas party, so I do think about my life sometimes if I wouldn't have gone to the Christmas party.
I mean, yeah, it's true.
Would Pete and I have eventually been introduced to each other by our friends? Or would we have passed each other by? I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah. What if I stayed home?
Mm-hmm.
If I was like, I'm not going to a damn party. I don't work there.
If you weren't Glenn's +1.
I know.
What would our B-life story be?
Who knows? We'll have to write a rom-com about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. I mean, we definitely recommend watching this movie. But what about this movie just really hits home to little, 12-year-old gay boys?
Makeovers, Gwyneth Paltrow, career woman. We're checking off all of those boxes.
She's got a little sass.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a little sass in there.
Yeah, she's got some sass.
Little innocent 12-year-old, 13-year-old Josh was curious when she talked to her customers and told them about giving her boyfriend a blowjob.
This is true.
Didn't know what that was.
Yes. You had to think about that one.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
What's she talking about? The innocence.
True.
Paltrow is just like my personal gay leading lady avatar. When I'm running late for work or something, I like to pretend that I am Helen with my long brown wig.
When it doesn't work out, you give the grumpy face. You've just missed the train or missed the whatever.
Oh man.
We briefly talked about the Broad City episode that's called Sliding Doors, where it's the episode where Abby and Alana meet, and they do a whole episode that's like a tribute to Sliding Doors. And we just watched it before we recorded, and I think that episode's really cute. Listeners, you should go check it out. They do a really good job capturing the tone of this movie in a Broad City episode.
Yeah.
Complete with the soundtrack, kind of little scene homages. There's
a makeover.
There's a makeover.
There's two makeovers.
What's the guy that's cutting off ponytails?
Yeah. I forgot his name.
Oh, the snipper.
Yeah,
the snipper.
Yeah.
That's some John Waters shit right there. Somebody that just cuts off ponytails and runs away.
I've seen that one, and I watched the Frasier episode. I mean, that's the cool thing about this movie in a lot of ways, late 90s, is that there were so many sitcoms that emulated this plot line or this, style of, what if you did or didn't. I watched a Frasier episode the other night in preparation where he goes on. He does a dating service, and in one he does the dating service, and in one he falls and breaks his arm basically. And it's kind of fun because I know you two are fans of her. Heather McDonald, a young Heather McDonald stars.
Welcome to Juicy Scoop. I'm Heather McDonald.
Yeah, she's one of the girls that he goes on the speed dating with. But it's kind of cute. I wasn't a Frasier watcher, but I definitely looked up a list online of just all the different sitcoms that did the same thing.
Yes, like the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt episode, Sliding Van Doors, which shows an alternate timeline where Kimmy does not get into the Reverend's van in 1998 because she doesn't want to miss seeing sliding doors. And there's also in that episode a flash forward of Titus, who is now starring in a fake sequel titled Sliding Doors 2 Tokyo Doors. So yeah, there's quite a few, like we said, it's just embedded itself in pop culture as like just the idea of the what if moment, if you missed your train or any kind of sliding door, a van door, a screen door.
So. The soundtrack makes it so fun too. I think back to the days where you did have movie trailers like this, which publicized the sound, who was on the soundtrack at the end of it. In this case, Aqua.
And also, we should mention this Dido song that's in the closing credits. Thank you.
Yeah,
that song did not chart until like 2 or 3 years later.
3 years later.
And that charted in America, and then Eminem sampled it for Stan.
That Dido, man, she was like the Lizzo of her time.
Mm-hmm.
No, she wasn't.
Like, is Dido the reason? Is Dido the reason why we stan celebrities?
Yes,
we say stan.
Yes, the song "Stan."
It's "Thank You" from Sliding Doors.
Right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
She was writing for Britney Spears, and she was like just on the underground. Like I got the Dido album came out a year after this movie. And then that song, like you said, didn't chart for another 2 years.
That's crazy. I also, Scott, you pointed out that this trailer does that awesome thing where the guy in the trailer goes, starring Gwyneth Paltrow and Gwyneth Paltrow.
I'm such a sucker for that. Love it.
And this trailer gives away the last shot of the movie.
It did?
Without context.
Oh, it does. With them in the elevator.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But you don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know anything. No context. We're good.
That trailer, it almost sounds like they're doing an audio sample of Werewolves of London in it. I'm sure it's just some sort of like a sound effect library song that was free, if not really cheap.
I thought that too. Yeah, I thought
shows all these people bustling through the city, which I don't think is even in the movie.
Right. You're like, is that even London? Wow. Sliding doors.
Oh, Gwyneth Paltrow, will you ever be back on the Oscar stage? Probably not. She's probably a one and done winner.
Yeah. Which I'm sure she's fine with.
Yeah.
Blythe is very proud.
True. Blythe is just, oh man. I still like Shakespeare in Love. It's fun.
just did a rewatch of Shakespeare in Love, and I think it is very charming.
Yeah.
It's very charming.
I think it is a very warranted win. I think she's really good in it. And people always kind of think that she ended up stealing the category from Cate Blanchett for Elizabeth. But, I mean, I think those two pretty much split all of the awards that season. All the critical prizes. They both won the Globe. I don't know who won the SAG. I think it was Cate. But, yeah.
Yeah. She was great.
I feel like that pink Dior dress, I still feel is a little ill-fitting.
Could fit a little nicer on the bust.
Mm-hmm. But, it's a nice, it's a lovely, like, prom-style dress.
It was her Grace Kelly moment.
Ah, yes.
I feel like Gwyneth was always compared to Grace Kelly at this time.
Sure. And we did watch her Oscar acceptance speech for Shakespeare in Love, not this movie. And it was charming.
Yeah.
It was not the Gwyneth that I expected. Like you half expect her to go up there and just be like...
Just completely over it.
Yeah.
But she was crying, right?
Yeah, on the verge. I feel like she's on the verge of tears. She might have.
It's almost like, even though, I mean, it's probably silly for us to say this, I almost don't think that she expected to win.
Right, it doesn't seem like she expected
that. I think that she was somewhat surprised that she was on that stage.
Yeah.
It was such a power time for Gwyneth. I mean, like you said, 5 movies. The next year would go into one of Scott and I's favorites, The Talented Mr. Ripley. And, it was such a moment. You were on Gwyneth's side because you were just so used to her.
I feel like we'll probably do this. We'll probably talk about this performance more when we do a Talented Mr. Ripley episode. But I think she's really good in that movie. For a very doormat character from the book that I feel like there's probably not a lot on page when you read The Talented Mr. Ripley, and I think that they really expand her role in particular, and she totally sells that part. I think she's great.
If you guys really want to go underground, 2000, Duets.
It's directed by her dad.
Oh, Duets. I love the song.
Huey Lewis.
I love her rendition of Cruisin' by Smokey Robinson with Huey Lewis is really good. I have to say.
I stand by her Betty Davis eyes.
Also
cover.
very good. I have to say, like, I'll, go up and down about, like, how waspy and just, like, white bread Gwyneth Paltrow is, but her singing voice is very good.
She was on Glee and she won an Emmy.
Yeah. She had that weird single.
Country Strong. 10 years later, people were like, Gwyneth sings? And we're like, did you guys see Duets? Come on.
We already been new.
I was at Country Strong in its limited release in Los Angeles.
Now I've got to go listen to Country Strong.
It'd be funny to do it would be funny to do a Country Strong episode.
I mean, there's time.
Oscar-nominated Country Strong. Best original song.
Wow. I mean, you guys, I forgot about all this stuff. Oh man. Here we go. I found a little bit of it. We won't play too much of it, but so do we have any, final sliding doors tidbits or thoughts? We definitely recommend watching this movie because we've decided it holds up extremely well, but how do we want to go out on sliding doors?
It holds its place in history.
It's true.
Check it out.
Really does.
It is now a term.
Yeah.
Just the sliding doors moment. When you think about missed opportunities or like not catching a taxi or a bus or a plane, of how different your life would be.
Yeah. I agree. And, if you feel like too wrapped up in Gwyneth and Goop and all of that stuff, I feel like give it a chance. You kind of get, she wins you over. Like I said, I'm of two minds when it comes to, to GP, to old Goopy. And sometimes I feel a little bit like, this one. But then I watch a movie of hers and I'm just like, I'm charmed.
It's kind of like how I feel about Madonna now. Is that sometimes you just read or see interviews with Madonna and you just roll your eyes and you're just like, fucking match. And then I put on the Immaculate Collection and all is forgiven.
Yeah, it's true. Wow.
And then you're cruising away.
And then you're just cruising away. Those dulcet tones.
Yeah.
Oh, Gwynny. Who knew?
Oh, Goopy.
Who knew?
You'll be back on this podcast.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We will definitely have more Gwyneth movies to represent in the future.
It's fun to be back, guys. I was thoroughly gooped and gagged. Thanks for having me back.
Always fun.
Thanks for coming back on. This was definitely
How are we doing
really
on time, Pete?
We're doing great on time. We're doing perfect.
Is there any, we can kind of, since you were last on for our Oscars episode, this is going to be an interesting Oscar year. So do you have any hot takes of the clusterfuck that is going to be the 2021 Academy Awards?
Well,
because it's been extended to January and February.
End of February deadline. Yeah, I think it will be a clusterfuck. But I think the real question is going to be the dominance of streaming and what kind of effect it has. You could easily see an Oscars with, 15 acting nominations coming out of streaming. The question, I think, is how far it goes.
Will Michelle Pfeiffer finally win the lead actor Oscar? I hope so. For French Exit.
Michelle is coming back, and Glenn Close is coming back, giving you Appalachia.
Wow.
Get ready for it.
Get ready for it.
I don't think I've heard of either of those movies. Wow. Well, I mean, there's that's a lot for us to think about. We'll see what happens with the Oscars in a few months. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or forever months.
Yeah, right.
April
it's going to be a long ride.
Oh, my God. Wow. Well, like we said, thank you so much for coming on this episode.
Thank you so much, Josh.
This was a lot of fun.
Thank you, guys.
You're very welcome. Hopefully, we'll get to have you on again soon. You can be a Movies That Made Us Gay super duper star.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Well, like I said, thank you so much. This was so much fun. We're going to see you off with our exit music. Bye.
Bye, Josh.
Bye, Josh. Wow. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We've got some great news.
Yes. Tell it, Pete.
Our Patreon has officially launched. You can go over to patreon.com and search for Movies That Made Us Gay. And you can search our tiers to see if you would like to contribute to our Patreon.
Do it.
If you did that. Yeah, we've got lots of different levels. Starting out as just $1 a month. You can get a shout out on every single episode of Movies That Made Us Gay. We'll shout out your name and your handle, Instagram handle, on every episode for the low cost of $5 a month, which is what? A trip to Starbucks? One trip to Starbucks.
Yeah.
You can get yourself not only the shout out, but you can also get yourself our monthly newsletter. And
the newsletter looks pretty good.
The newsletter looks more than pretty good. It looks amazing.
It looks great.
It looks amazing. And you'll also get a handwritten postcard from the two of us. That's $5 a month. And for our $10 a month listeners, and that is 2 trips to Starbucks. That is 1 extra value meal at McDonald's. Come on, you guys. You can handle it. For that low price of $10 a month, you can get our bonus episodes. Each month, you'll get a bonus episode. It will be a movie commentary with Scott and I. So you can press play on our commentary track while you're watching a movie, and you can have the two of us commenting and watching the movie with you.
This month we did Scream 2.
Yes, indeed.
As a tie-in to our Scream episode.
Yes, indeed. We'll have a new commentary track each month, and, who's to say? Maybe we'll have more than one every month.
Yeah.
For the low price of $10.
There might be a bonus episode.
Yes, indeed.
Thrown in per month, too.
I feel like during the Halloween season, maybe there might be a couple of extras. So, yeah. We would love it if you would contribute to our Patreon. So head on over to patreon.com and look for Movies That Made Us Gay. You can also go to iTunes and write us a good review. Just like this one that I would like to read right now. This is actually from a Facebook user who is on Android and does not have access to Apple Podcasts. So they went ahead and wrote us a review on Facebook. This is from Christine Asher, who says, I love this podcast so much. Scott and Pete are so funny and entertaining to listen to. They're really knowledgeable about movies, and we have the same taste, which is great. I love to watch each week's movie just before listening to the podcast. Smiley face. Thank you, Christine Asher.
Thank you so much.
That was amazing.
That's so sweet.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So that review is on a Facebook comment because not everybody has Apple Podcasts. And if you don't, write us a review on Facebook just like Christine did. We would love it so much. Scott, we got through another episode.
We did it.
We did it. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Head over to patreon.com. Head over to Apple Podcasts. Write us a review. Follow us on Instagram at
Movies That Made Us Gay on Facebook and MTMUG Pod on Twitter. Give us a follow.
Indeed.
Give us a tweet.
Yes, indeed. Give us a tweet. Give us a follow. Give us a shout. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.